The world around us is going a bit crazy. Food prices are out of sight, and availability, sometimes you can't get the food that you want. And as we look on the horizon, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon. So what we've done in this little building is a really cool way that we've taken control of our own food supply. Hey Provident Preppers, today I have something really cool to show you. This is our rabbit colony. Let me tell you just a little bit about rabbit colonies. The way that we have this set up, it can produce as much as 2 beef cows in 1 year using mostly food that we've grown here on our own property. There's no smell and it takes up very little space. And not only that, but they're just fun creatures. So hang on and let's go check out the rabbit colony. We've been raising rabbits for, I don't know, more years than I can count, 15 or so, but we do it all on a hobby scale, and we've done it in cages, and we've been on again and off again. But I really felt strongly that I wanted to be able to raise rabbits again because things are going crazy around us. Every time I go to the store, I am shocked at how expensive everything is. So if I can produce some more of my own food, not only does that help me to eat less expensively and more healthily, it also helps me take control of my food supply. Thus enter rabbits. Our little rabbit colony can hold up to 5 does and 1 buck on each side. So that's a total of 10 does. Now, according to studies, 1 doe can produce between 125 and 250 pounds of meat a year. Did you hear that? 1 doe, 125 to 250 pounds of meat a year. That's pretty significant. So theoretically, in my setup that's only 24 feet long, 10 feet wide, I can manage 10 does easily. We're talking about 1,250 pounds of meat. Now, 1 cow, once it's all cleaned up, tends to be about 500 pounds. That's the average. So this setup can provide more meat for our family than 2 cows. That's significant. We've done everything in here to make sure that these critters have the best life possible. My #1 priority for them is to make compost. Every morning I go out with my little cart and I fill it full of weeds and clippings like apple tree clippings or grape vines. They love goji berries. Goji plants, they grow like crazy and they will eat every single bit. When I clip off that branch, they will waste nothing. So every morning they get this huge pile of food that was completely free. There's all kinds of different ways to feed your rabbits for free. We always have alfalfa pellets for them also because we want to make sure that nutritionally everything's okay. They have a good and happy life in a very small space. They don't smell. They're quiet. You could do this setup seriously anywhere, and you don't have to do it on this scale. I like the colony setup. We spent a couple years actually going different places and studying and researching and trying to see what worked for people, what didn't work, and then what would be the best situation for us. The airflow is so important. If you go into some of these rabbitries, they smell really bad. And the reason why is because there is not good airflow. So above me right here, we have, it's called horse panel, and it will keep predators out and the rabbits in, but it allows for great airflow. Rabbits, cold is fine for them, but heat will kill them. So we still have a few things we need to do here with some fans, but we've got plenty of ventilation. Now we do have cages on this side, and that is for the bucks, because if we only have 1 buck and something happens to that buck, then we're in big trouble. So we want to make sure that we always have a spare buck. These are 6 cages up here. If there's something wrong with one of the rabbits and we need to quarantine it, they have a nice safe place to be quarantined where they can still see the other rabbits. Now, I have issues with my back. I'm old, I have MS, there are all kinds of problems, so I needed to make this very handicap accessible. And so the cages, we put them at exactly the right height, so when I reach in to care for the rabbit, it's not putting any strain on my back. These cages also, the rabbit's droppings go right down into a compost pile, where we put all kinds of different items we want to compost, and it's full of worms. It's making fabulous compost just over there. So cleaning out these cages, it's not a whole lot of work. On the bottom here, we have more of the horse panels so that the rabbits can't dig out. So this is kind of the best of all worlds for us. We have lots of things in here, like the wood for the rabbits to hop on. We have protected areas. But one of the really cool things that we learned was actually from Manti Homestead, and I'll leave a link to Manti Homestead. One of the things that Nate Christensen does is he has these drain pipes that go down into an ice chest underground that he can access from the outside of the pen. And the rabbits love it because naturally rabbits are burrowing creatures. They like to go into these little small places. And the ice chest, that's their nesting boxes. That's where they go to get away, to get cool. We're perfecting the system. We're continually tweaking it and making it better and better. The last thing that I think is really important to talk about, because not only are they great composters, which we need for food production, they are a good source of meat, and there are other things you can do, pellets and all that. And right now, with our little kits, once they're of age, we're selling them. We're actually not harvesting them for meat for our family. Eventually, that is the plan. I can't kill anything, so we have friends that can, and we'll exchange some of the meat for that service. The final thing that I think is kind of really important to note is that the creatures are beautiful. They're so much fun to watch. It's so therapeutic to know that every morning you have to get outside and you have to be out there and in the sunshine or the cool, whatever it is, and chop those plants for them to eat, and then come in and hang out with them and watch them and pet them. It just adds so much beauty to life. And like I said, we've done things here so that the rabbits can have the best life possible, and also so that things are automated. We have these water barrels where we've got these little stainless steel cups. They have a little rabbit nipple in them, and this barrel can take care of watering these rabbits for a few weeks. So if I don't come out every morning, these rabbits are still okay. I have feeders where they have their alfalfa pellets, and they would be just fine if I leave town for 4 or 5 days. So we want to make sure that the system is set up like that and as easy to take care of as possible. We'll do a video on the actual construction of this rabbit paradise, I guess. It really is such a cool thing, and some of the problems that we had and what we've done to fix those. And it's all a learning process. If you've learned things, we would sure appreciate it if you would note that in the comments, because all of us are learning. And seriously, if you have a space in your yard that you might be able to maybe 8 by 10 feet, you could do this on a smaller scale, and you could have 1 cow's worth of meat a year. And we did it as inexpensively as possible. All of the ice chests that we got from a local thrift store. And we repurposed the cages that we'd already had. So some of them look very old, but that's okay. Where possible, we repurposed the old roof for these cages as a back here to keep them safe from weather and all that kind of stuff. And so we did use some new materials here. One of the places that we went and visited with rabbit colonies that was actually super successful, it was hard to get in and out of the doors. And I was really worried that my grandkids are going to leave it open and the rabbits are going to escape. And so we opted to buy panels, dog panels, so that it would be always easy to access this in and out. But then at the bottom, we put this belting, and the belting is there so that the rabbits can't just escape out or the dogs can't run in. As you have ideas and you found things that are really, really helpful, oh, please put them down below. But think about this. This is a way that you can produce an awful lot of meat in a very small place that's not noisy, it doesn't smell, and you can use a lot of the resources that you have right there on your property. There is a book that's fabulous. I'll leave a link down below. It's all about how to feed your rabbits naturally. You don't have to depend on pellets and other things in order to feed it. So as prices go up and life becomes a little bit more challenging, perhaps it might be a good idea to really consider rabbits, even if you do them in a cage. We decided to do colony because I think that it's less work, less hands-on. That buck stays in with those does, so naturally they just breed. I don't ever have to worry about timing when that litter's coming, when to put a nesting box in. Nature just takes care of it all by itself, and that buck does a really good job of keeping those does pregnant. I do exchange the bucks and make sure that we kind of have a little bit of diversity in here and that the buck gets a rest for a while. It's a good thing. The rabbits are adorable, and the only problem really is the harvest. But we got that covered because I can cook them. I just can't slaughter them. And now for the question of the day. What's your plan to make sure that you have food regardless of how expensive it gets in the store and what the supply chain does? Comment below, and thanks for being part of the solution.